Hi guys, welcome back to this series on interest and depreciation. Today we're going to be looking at some examples from the New Century Maths Advanced textbook, exercise 2.02. So in this exercise, all the questions are pretty repetitive, so we're only going to be doing a few. We're going to be doing 5, 7 and 12. So with that said, let's get into it. Okay, so question 5. Michaela is a nurse earning $87,996 a year. Her allowable deductions are for non-slip footwear, which is $225, laundering uniforms, which is $1,046, and union fees, which is $297.60. So how much should she pay in tax? The first thing we should clarify is that what they mean by paying tax is her income tax. So obviously she'll have to pay more taxes as they go on throughout the year, but in this example we're specifically looking at her income tax. So her income, as we can see up here, is $87,996, and that's her gross income. However, she doesn't have to pay tax on all of this money here because she only needs to pay money on the things they should pay tax on. So these examples of the things the government doesn't want to tax her on are her non-slip footwear because she's a nurse. So the government's not going to tax $225 of this $87,996. Her laundering uniforms, they don't want her to be dirty at work, so the government's not going to tax an extra $1,046. And her union fees, because they want her to be well represented and not be ripped off by her employer. So they're willing to not tax $297.60. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to calculate her taxable income. So in order to calculate her taxable income, the income that she is able to pay tax on, we're going to take this $87,000, which is her gross pay, and then we're going to take away each of these allowable deductions. So the first one for her non-slip footwear, we'll take that. That's going to be taken away from this. So we'll draw a minus sign here. Take away. She's also going to be able to take away her laundering uniform expense. So we're going to take that as well. And she's also going to be able to take away her union fees. So we'll take them as well. So putting this into our calculator, we should get her taxable income. So the income that the government is going to tax her on. And hopefully you should get $86,427.40. So this is the income that the government is going to tax her on. How do we find out how much tax she has to pay? Well, we have to look at the income tax brackets. So this table that I've taken here, I've just gotten off the internet, but it is exactly the same one that is found in the New Century Maths textbook, which is the Australian tax brackets for 2019. So remember that your tax brackets may be different depending on what year you're looking at this video. This is the one that I'm going to need to use, so I'm going to look for where this 86,427.40 is going to sit in this table, and I can see that it's going to be in this second highest tax bracket over here. So how do I know how much tax she has to pay? Well, I can see that immediately she has to pay $17,547, plus she needs to pay 37 cents in every dollar, so 37% for every dollar that's over 80,000. So I know that her total tax is going to be this initial $17,547, plus I'm going to get 37% of, which means times every dollar over 80,000. Now that's easy. I can do that in my head because I can see right there she's going to have to pay 37% on those $6,427.40. So I've just done this, her taxable income minus $80,000. So this here, if I put that in my calculator, remembering that 37% translates to 37 over 100, which if you put that in your calculator is 0.37. So to get this is 0.37 times that additional money there. And I should get as my answer $19,925. I can see 0.138, so remember we've got to round it to make our cents, and 14 cents. This is her total income tax she'll have to pay, accounting for her expenses up there. Now, I've had a look at the answers in the textbook, and the answers are wrong. So this here is the right answer. Okay, so question 7. Jackson earns a gross weekly income of $1,075.26. His weekly deductions are $309.11 for pay-as-you-go tax, $44.55 for private health insurance, and $25.18 for superannuation. Calculate his net weekly pay. Okay, so there's a couple of things to remember here. So even though we have deductions, one of these deductions here is actually tax. So he's already paid his tax, so we don't need to extend his money all the way out to the end of the year. Calculate his total deductions and take them away and then figure out his tax bracket and then get back down to the week. We don't need to do all that kind of stuff because he's already paying his tax as he goes along. So we can calculate his weekly tax without having to do all that tricky stuff. All we simply have to do is we have to take his gross weekly income, so his big income, the income that he hasn't paid any taxes on. Now, because he's paying his tax already, we take away his tax and then we can simply take away his expenses. So the total of these two here is going to give us $69.73. So simply putting all of this into your calculator, you should get $696.42. So what that means is after he's paid all of his tax and after he's taken away all of his expenses, he's left with the money that he can do whatever he wants with, which is going to be his net income. Okay, so Anne earns a salary of $59,944 per annum. So a salary that's going to be important for later on. Remember that one. Each fortnight, she has deductions of $256.20 for a family health insurance and $35 for superannuation. So they want us to find her fortnightly gross income. How much pay-as-you-go tax does she pay every fortnight? And find the fortnightly net income. Okay, so the first question is we have to find her fortnightly, which means every 2 weeks, gross income. Now remember, she's getting paid a salary, so she's getting paid accounting for those leap years, which means that she's got 52.18 weeks in her year. So we're going to divide her total that she earns every year by 52.18 to get the amount she earns every week. And that's going to give us to two decimal places, $1,148.79. Now because they want it fortnightly, this is for 1 week and we need it for 2. So we simply just times that by 2 to get what she gets every fortnight. And that's going to give us $2,297.59. Now, question B is kind of dumb because they have just given you a table in the example. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that she is within the 2298 tax bracket because it's to the nearest dollar, which means she's going to get $458 of tax withheld every week. So that's her pay-as-you-go tax that she's going to earn for B. And then to find her fortnightly net income, all we need to do is simply subtract this, her pay-as-you-go tax, from her income, from her gross income, which is going to give us 2297.59 minus 458, which is going to be $1,839.59. Now for question B, the pay-as-you-go tax is just given in a table within the examples. So you're going to want to take the floor of this number here, so 2297, and as we can see, she lands within the 2,292 to 2,297 tax bracket, so she's going to get $456 withheld every 2 weeks. So that's going to be your answer for B. And then to get your answer for C, which is going to be her net income, is simply her gross income she earns every fortnight, which is going to be $2,297.59 minus her $456 that she has to pay in pay-as-you-go tax. So that results in a total of $1,550.39. And then for part C, remember that we can't forget her expenses here. So we're going to take her gross income for the fortnight, which is going to be $2,297.59, minus the pay-as-you-go tax that she has to pay, so that's $456, and then the total of these two expenses. So add them up and you get $291.20. So we're going to add that down here, so $291 1.2, $1,550.39. That's going to be your answer for C.